Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about Space Marine chapters as we get into the Storm Giants. Now afterwards we're going to have a discussion on black human beings in the Warhammer 40K universe. The reason for that is that the Storm Giant skin tone is actually darker, so it's black skin tone, much like the Salamanders. But you'll learn all about that in this lore video. If you guys have any other suggestions for other topics of Warhammer 40K, please comment down below, and don't forget that if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we post Warhammer 40K content every single day. With that said, let's get into 40 facts about the Storm Giants. The Storm Giants are a Loyalist Codex Astartes compliant chapter of the Space Marines, created during the 26th founding in the year 738 of the 41st millennium. Their origins remains unknown, though many suspect that they are the successor chapter of the Salamanders of Nocturne. The Storm Giants primarily wear tan power armor. The inset of the right shoulder guard is red, and the white squad specialty symbol on the right shoulder guard. The Storm Giants chapter badge is a stylized red thunderbolt pointing upward and centered on a field of tan. The Storm Giants have long been suspected of being a successor chapter of the Salamanders, due to their similar, larger-than-normal physique and tendency to develop ebony skin due to a mutation in the DNA of the chapter's melanchrome, a flaw that is only known to affect the gene seed of the Salamanders. The Storm Giants are primarily organized in accordance with the tenets of the Codex Astartes. Since they are the fleet-based chapter, they recruit from many different worlds across the Imperium. Neophytes from the same worlds are split up into different squads and companies, even elevated to the rank of full battle brother, so as to break up social and tribal connections. This helps them develop strong loyalties to all the battle brothers of the chapter, rather than just the Astartes from their own homeworld. Being a Codex-compliant chapter, the Storm Giants can adapt to any circumstance that may occur on the battlefield. Planetary assaults are the type of combat that they tend to favor. The chapter shows a predilection for siege warfare when the need arises. The chapter is adept at using infiltration and deep strike units, primarily employing drop pods to finish off any enemy, and they have a higher proportion of scout marines in the chapter than is as usual. The Storm Giants also prefer to use assault bikes to insert scout bike squadrons into enemy territory so that they can gather intelligence for the chapter. The Storm Giants believe that the Emperor represents the pinnacle of what is possible for mankind. They place absolute faith and their ultimate trust in him and his nearly omnipotent abilities. Though, like most Astartes, they do not worship him as a god, as the Imperial Creed does. Though the chapter is unsure of which Primarch they are descended from, they look to each Loyalist Primarch as a great warrior and model for Astarte action. Each one has its own unique combat style and influence upon the Space Marine way of making war. Unlike some of the more gauntly chapters, the Storm Giants do not look down upon the Imperial Guard. Instead, the chapter views the Guardsmen as an essential component in the security of the Imperium. Furthermore, the chapter does not view the Imperial Guard as composed of dispensable cannon fodder, nor do they look down upon normal humans as beneath them, for they hold that every human being has his or her rightful place within the Imperium of man. This compassionate outlook is another reason that many scholars believe that the Storm Giants are actually a successor chapter of the Salamanders. During the so-called Second Purging of Lastrati, the Storm Giants' first company was sent to support Marshal Gerhardt and his Black Templars as they purged the planet of Lastarte upon discovering the purity cult, called the Divine Army. It had turned to blood rituals in worship of the blood god Khorne. As this event occurred before the Storm Giants' founding, the Imperial records are either in error as to which chapter participated in the event, or the Storm Giants are an older chapter than recorded in the Administratum. The Orc warlord Gatsgul Mag Uruk Thraka led the third invasion of the Segmentum Solar Hive world of Armageddon in the year 998, during what became known as the Third War of Armageddon. The Storm Giants sent 5 companies in support of the defending Imperial forces on Armageddon. They were involved in the siege of Tempestora Hive, fighting alongside the Blood Angels, White Scars, Marine Malevolence, and the Salamander Space Marine chapters. And those were 40 facts about the Storm Giants. Now, of course, there's not that much lore on the Storm Giants themselves. It's one of those chapters that's kind of mentioned as you pass by through the Codex or as you skim through the Codex. It's not really something that has been given that much information. But I did want to address a question that was brought up in yesterday's video. I think it was the 40 facts on the Devourers. But somebody asked the question of whether there are black humans in 40K. The answer is a definite yes. There are black humans in Warhammer 40K. There's even black superhumans in Warhammer 40K. A perfect example of this is this video. The Storm Giants and the Salamanders are black skin tone superhumans. Now, we're going to separate the Space Marines and the regular humanity for a second. Because there's something specific about Space Marines that I want to talk about. But first, let's deal with just your regular everyday humans. So the reason that everyday humans have darker skin tones is because of a evolutionary adaptation or natural selection towards the sun. The sun is harmful to skin tones that are a lot lighter. So the dark skin tone actually protects us from the sun. And that's not going to go away. As humanity spread throughout the galaxy, they encountered planets where the sun was just as tough, if not tougher, than the one that we found here on Terra. Now, along with darker skin tones, there were other changes within humanity that occurred, which is why you have the Ogren, which is why you have the Rattling, which is why you have the Beastmen. All these adaptations or all these mutations occurred out of living in environments that are not like Terra. Now, a follow-up question that I get a lot is, why is it that in Warhammer 40K you mostly see fairer skin human beings? And the answer to that, again, is tied to the sun. If you look at humanity, if you look at the Imperium of Man, the most abundant type of planet are hive planets or mining planets. If you check out our 40 facts video on, I believe it's hive worlds, or you can check out our 40 facts on, I believe it's called the Imperial Citizens, you will learn that a lot of citizens that live within these hive worlds, they never see the light of day. The sun is something extremely just obscure to them. And you have to remember that each individual hive world is just jam-packed full of human beings. And that's where people take Space Marines. That's where people get their Imperial Guards from. So of course, the darker skin tones would eventually go away because it's not something that humanity really needs anymore. They have artificial biomes, basically. That's what these hive worlds are, where the sun or the protection from the sun is not something of importance anymore. Now, there's another part to this. Whenever somebody asks, are there black humans in Warhammer 40K, they are referring to, are there, culturally, are there black people in Warhammer 40K? And the answer to that is no. So when you think of black culture, you might think of Africa, you might think of the black Americans, black people living in the UK, or the subdivisions within each individual nationality. Those are all gone because during the Dark Age of technology, humanity expanded, humanity changed. Africa was not the same as it is in today's time or in today's era. And of course, once the unification, or I should say once the Age of Strife happened, Earth was completely changed. Africa became its own little conclave, basically. It was a stronghold, and that in itself changed completely because it had influences from the Age of Strife. And then once the Unification War happened and the Emperor made everybody unified, the way he did that was by making sure to erase the ideas of race or of any type of cultural deviance. He wanted to make everybody understand that the culture that you belong to is the imperial culture. So is the black culture still alive in Warhammer 40K? The answer to that is it's just as alive as any other culture in today's time. It doesn't exist because so much time has passed by and so many events happen that completely changed the way groups of people saw the world, and groups of people interacted not only with Terra, but other planets. So that completely is wiped out. So quick answer, is there black people, black skin tones? Yes. Or is there black culture? No. Now let's jump on over to the Space Marines, because based on the lore that we learned today of the Storm Giants and based on the lore of the Salamanders, check out our 40 facts on the Salamanders if you want to learn more about their gene seed, because we're going to be talking about their gene seed specifically. But basically, these two chapters, their gene seed is mutated, or there's a problem with it where they get this really dark skin tone. And it's not something that is only seen within this chapter, or the malfunction of that gene seed is not only seen in this chapter, it's also seen in the Raven Guard. The Raven Guard actually have really pale skin, and it's another malfunction within their gene seed. So the true color of a Space Marine would be that of like the Ultramarines, or that of the Space Wolves, where it's a complexion, a fair complexion, but not pale, because pale is a deviation and extremely dark is another deviation. So as far as Space Marines are concerned, are there black Space Marines? Yes, but it's a mutation. It's not a mutation, but it's something wrong with the gene seed. Space Marines are supposed to be, I guess you would say, fair skin. But those are my thoughts based on my knowledge of the lore. Of course, there are some gaps in my lore knowledge, so if there's anything that you want to add to this discussion, please do so in the comment section below, and just comment down below if you guys have any other topics that you guys would like us to discuss, or any types of topics that you guys would like to see a video about. Just comment that information down below. And again, guys, thank you so much for liking, commenting, and sharing. If you found this video interesting, share it on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever your Warhammer 40K group interacts. It really helps out the channel, and it helps you by telling YouTube that yes, you want to see more Warhammer 40K content, and it really helps out. So again, guys, thank you so much for everything, and I'll see you tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.